Hello, Susan Corbett Custom Machine Quilting. This time we're going to the beach. This quilt is called Tide Pool. It's a panel quilt featuring driftwood and seashells. So in these spaces I decided to do a wood grain. There's all kinds of ways to do wood grain. And this is kind of a compilation of a bunch of methods I've learned over the years. It's a lot of echo. So crank up the speed of your machine and let that needle kind of drift around and echo some wood grain shapes. Over the years, I have put together a massive notebook full of tear sheets. There is design inspiration everywhere. So whenever I stumble across some wood grain, I tear that sheet out, like from decorating magazines and such. And here are a couple of examples of that. This one is stylized. I love it. So here is the fun part of this seashell quilt. The really custom part. I have begun putting seashells in these square spaces here. I opted for a simple Greek key here because I didn't think it would show up as much. I didn't think the shells would show up as much there. Now, in these blocks, okay, that's printed on there, it's not appliqued. So I've outlined the shell, and now the background, I didn't want to just do, some meander back there. The client wanted this customized. So I've begun putting shells in, and that's just a matter of where they will fit. Some of these blocks have more spaces than others. So I put one shell up there in the corner, and I've made myself some patterns on on some scrap paper. So at least one seagull is going to go up here. I'm not sure. Maybe both, we'll see how they fit. In this space, I want to do another sand dollar. So I'm gonna, he's too big for that space, but I think I'm gonna place it like this and then quilt just right up here. So I'm going to get a partial sand dollar, and that's going to look like this one is behind this one. And then I think I'll put this guy in here somewhere. So I end up with a paper pattern because I'm going to laser these in. And one of my tricks is to flip the shell over and trace it. You know, I'll mark both sides of it. When I'm quilting this kind of thing, I may only have a limited number of patterns to work with. So changing direction and making them, you know, be the reverse image is one way to get more mileage out of them. And I'm really loving this crab, but he's going to go in a different block that I'll show here in a while. I'm about to quilt in that sand dollar. I'm using the laser light on my machine. So follow the light on the paper pattern on the left side. That's what I'm following with that little red dot. There's the outline, and now I'm going to put in some details. Those could be free-handed, but I'm following the pattern just to get proper placement. And now to add some more. Here I'm sizing things up and seeing how much room there is, how it's going to fit. Now I'm going to finish telling the story of this little block by adding some birds. Or I think there's room for one bird. And then here, after a while, I'll add the background quilting. Some of the seashell patterns are from the Stencil Company. The others are from Laura Lee Fritz's book that I've mentioned before. Those cute little seahorses are by Laura Lee Fritz. So there's 2 seahorses up on top and 2 shells at the bottom. And so what I'm doing now is adding some freehand seaweed, and then I'll be doing some little dense background quilting. It'll be pebbles with echo, and it's going to make all those motifs really pop out of there. Here's a look at some of the panels, the before and then the after. I've used a darker thread to quilt the motifs and then a little bit of a lighter, skinnier thread for the backgrounds. In that big block, kind of in the corners, I've used a motif by Harry Wallner called Incoming Tide. It is from a pattern pack she published a long time ago, Collection 1. And here I'm outlining the print on this border. Not every little tiny thing, just mainly the shells, and then going into some more wood grain to fill in. I did some straight line quiltings, just some easy, fast quilting in that gray, narrow border. So the design scheme here is a mix of straight and curves. I did a simple LE in that top outer border. And in that brown wood frame, I quilted just a wavy line. That's all that needed. This quilt is shaping up. Now I'm going to quilt this border here. I have put in a wavy line that's going to be the stem. I freehanded it. I did not do any math, no algebra here. And I don't know how, 9 times out of 10, it just works out. It fit. So lucky me. The design I'm using is this one right here. You know, it's a bunch of echo. I've seen it all over the place on the internet and everything. Here they're calling it onion peel. I got this out of the July-August 2016 Machine Quilting Unlimited magazine, which sadly is no longer in print. Bummer. This was a whole bunch of designs, article written by Margaret Solomon Gunn. Thank you, Margaret. And I have put this in my, what I call my playbook. I have a whole bunch of things I've torn out of magazines or books or whatever that I use for inspiration. And it's really graceful, it's gorgeous, it's easy, it's fast. I think it's beautiful. And I always get confused at the beginning, so I'm using this to get me started. Sometimes I'll do that top and then here do the bottom and just alternate back and forth. But some days when I don't feel as awake or I'm kind of confused, I'll just do the top side and then go back and fill in the bottom. Whichever way is okay. In this section, I'm alternately outlining the print and as I go, filling in with some more wood grain. That just seemed like the most expedient way to go. This went pretty fast. I was pleased about that. Parts of this quilt were slow going, other parts went really swiftly, and that was good. That's also good for the quilter's budget. And I used these in-between spaces as little highways to get around the quilt. That speeded things up as well. I love it when I can do something that turns out really good, but is really fast at the same time. A whole lot of payoff here for not too much effort. I love the way this turned out, and so did my client. She was very happy. So there you go. Happy summer.